story families. My name's Kathleen. I work in the Children's Library of the Bozeman Public Library, and I'm here to bring you another story time. And spring is in the air. I'm outside again, and I hope you're getting outside. I just love this time of year. It really is wonderful. One thing that reminds me of spring are when the insects come back. There's many signs of spring. We've talked about these before. We notice the temperature gets warmer. We notice the snow melts. There's more sunlight in the daytime. All sorts of plants start to come up out of the ground. We start seeing birds that migrate back to Montana. And another thing is insects. And one very, very special insect. Let's see if you can guess. This insect pollinates things so we can have beautiful flowers. It pollinates plants, I shouldn't say things. So we can have beautiful flowers and yummy food to eat. It's yellow and black, and it rhymes with cheese. Can you guess? Bees, that's right. Bees are wonderful. Without bees, we wouldn't have food. So it's really good that we know how important bees are, and we know to take care of those bees. We know that we wouldn't want to kill them or spray them with insect spray, because without bees, we wouldn't have food. And then what would we eat? I don't know. They pollinate all of our food. It's very important. They even pollinate what the cows eat. The cows and the other animals we might eat, we're very dependent. Everything in the world has its place. I usually like to start story time with some facts and information about what we're studying. So I've chosen this book on bees. You can see that beautiful picture. And here it says bees. Let's think about something you might already know about bees. I've said a couple things about what their really important job is. What else do you know about bees? Do they make something that we like to eat? It starts with an H. Honey, that's right. We know that bees are an insect because they have 3 separate body parts and 6 legs. Let's see what else we can learn. Bees by Nessa Black. Wings, antennas, tongue, and hive. Look for these pictures as you read. Pictures and words. Buzz, buzz, do you see a bee? Bees are busy. They make honey. But how? Isn't that a beautiful picture? I love that. Those little circles, they're actually septagons, I think, are little honey hives. Look at the bees' wings. 2 are big, 2 are little. Bees fly from flower to flower. Do you remember what they do from flower to flower? They're pollinating. You can see in that dandelion, those little yellow tendrils that curl up. If you looked really, really closely, you would see pollen. And if you look really closely at bees, if you see them on a flower, you'll see that their feet and their chin is covered with pollen. Antennas. Look at the bee's antennas. They help the bee find flowers. The antennas smell and taste. You see those antennae on there? Look at those wings. Look at a bee's tongue. It's like a straw. It sucks nectar. So the tongue is that part, the red and black part coming out of their mouth. You can see the pollen on that flower, can't you? Hive. Look at the hive. Bees bring nectar back to the hive. And you can see they've already started their honeycomb, haven't they? And they're going to fill it all with honey. I wonder how many bees are on that hive. Hundreds. I've never seen a hive like that. Have you? Bees chew the nectar, they pass it from bee to bee, and it soon turns to honey. Yum! I was hoping that book would have a picture of the different sections of a part of a bee, so I'll put that graphic up real quick here, and you can see the 3 different parts. This picture almost shows the 3 parts. 1, 2, 3, and 6 legs. 1, 2, 3, and then 3 on the other side. We'll look at some more insects on my little picture there. You can see that insects include flies and bees and wasps and mosquitoes. But you know what, spider? Spider's not an insect. It has 8 legs. Let's move on to a story. This is a funny book called The Thing About Bees by Shabazz Larkin. Isn't that a beautiful book? That's a really different type of illustration, picture. Let's read about this. It says it's a love letter to bees. Bees do a thing called a waggle dance. That might be a picture of a waggle dance. They wiggle and waggle to tell each other where the good nectar is. All right. When a bee and a flower love each other very much, a fruit is born. Number 1, the flower makes a sticky yellow dust called pollen. Number 2, as the bee drinks the flower's nectar, she gets pollen all over her hairy body. 3, the bee moves pollen from one flower to another. Boing, boing, boing. 4, then we wait and wait. 6, and presto, the flower turns into a fruit you can eat. Those are strawberries. This process is called pollination. We'd be hungry without the bees. They help vegetables, fruits, and nuts grow too. Here's the thing about bees. Sometimes bees can be a bit rude. They fly in your face and prance on your food. They buzz in the bushes and buzz in your ear too. They sneak up behind you and fill you with fear. Buzz, buzz. And worst of all, they do this thing called sting. Ouch! We may want bees gone because their stings hurt, but if they were all gone, it would be much worse. Without bees, there'd be no more picnics with watermelon. There'd be no more smoothies with mango. There'd be no more strawberries for shortcake, and no more avocados for tacos. There'd be no apples, which means no pie. No more cucumbers, which means no more pickles. No more blueberries and raspberries for pancakes, or sweet cherries to drizzle. Because some foods won't grow without bees to help them along. In a way, the bees are just like you. You see the pollen on that plant? Here's a little poem. You buzz in the bushes and buzz in my ears. You sneak up behind me and fill me with fear. You fly in my face and prance on my food. You even sting when you're in a bad mood. But I never stopped loving you. You are my sweet cherry, the apple of my eye. You're my cucumber pickle, my bumblebee in the sky. You're my cold watermelon at a picnic in the park. You're the avocado on my tacos. You're the strawberry of my heart. Without those little buzzers, the world wouldn't know what to do. That's the thing about bees. We need them as much as we need you. And at the end, the author says, I wrote this book because I have a fear of bees. When my sons were born, I didn't want to pass that fear on to them, so I set out to discover all I could learn about bees. And he says he learned every creature has a special part to play in the world. And when you learn more about a scary thing, you feel less scary. And finally, he researched which bees and wasps are the kind that are mean. And you can see this great diagram he has of all the different bees. And it looks like the ones that are scariest are at the end, yellow jackets, hornet. Yeah, but bumblebees, they're kind. They don't want to sting you. As long as you don't waft them away, just kind of walk away quietly and leave them alone, and they will not bother you, I promise. All right, one more book. This is called These Bees Count. Have you ever seen someone in one of these suits? This is a beehive, a beekeeper suit, and that's so you don't get stung by bees and they don't get on your clothing and in your face. And this is like a beehive where people put these in their yards and on their farms, and inside you pull out and there's a rack of bees making honeycomb and honey like this. There's a picture right there you can see of what's inside those drawers. And then I'm going to quickly show you the process, how people get the honey out of those hives. I've done that before and it's really fun. So let's really quick look at this little picture and it shows how it's done. All right, let's read our book, These Bees Count, Alison Fermento, with pictures by Sarah Snow. And thanks to our publisher, Whitman and Company. Mr. Tate's class loves taking field trips. Today, their bus went to a farm. Farmer Ellen led the class through a big field. There weren't any cows, horses, or sheep. There were only bees and tall flowers. Amy picked a flower and twirled it. Ellie looked around. Is this a flower farm? Farmer Ellen smiled. No, but we do grow a lot of flowers. They walked through a grove of blossoming apple trees. Is this a tree farm? Natalie asked. Trees grow here too, Farmer Ellen said, but at the Busy Bee Farm, we farm bees and honey. Honey tastes good, said Jake. Eli held on to Mr. Tate. Bees sting. Only when they're afraid or angry, said Farmer Ellen. And beekeepers always dress safely before visiting the hives. Oh, they're getting on those neat outfits. Farmer Ellen took everyone to a small shed. Mr. Tate helped give out beekeeper gear. The children put white jumpsuits over their clothes. Shin smoothed the net over her face. Here comes the bride. We look like astronauts, said Jake. I feel safe in here, said Eli. Farmer Ellen showed the class a field full of tall boxes. Welcome to the bee yard. These are bee houses or apiaries. Honeybees live in these hives. Most fly out each day to work. Bees work? Jake asked. Yes, they collect pollen, which is tiny powder-like grains in flowers. It's for their food. The powder is carried on their legs to crops, flowers, plants, and trees, and it helps them grow. Sharing pollen this way is called pollination. Sharing is good, says Sin. Farmer Ellen pushed a can with a long spout into a hole in the back of one bee house. This smoker will help us see the bees. She squeezed the handle and wisps of smoke puffed out. Hundreds of bees followed the smoke trail and flew into the air. Farmer Ellen said, now watch them work and hear what they say. Bees don't talk, Amy said. They do, Farmer Ellen said. Listen to their buzz. Everyone watched and listened, and this is what they heard. One by one, we zip up high, buzzing through the bright blue sky. We fly over 2 waving dandelions, inviting us to visit. We find 3 wild strawberries bursting with sweetness. 4 apple blossoms tickle us with soft petals. 5 poppies stretch tall, greeting us like best friends. We stop for a drink where 6 farm hands water a crop of raspberries. Bees sure get thirsty, Jake said. Shh, said Amy, they're still buzzing. We even see 7 clovers dancing in the sunlight, 8 flowering cherry trees shimmering pink and white. In the garden, 9 shiny pea pods flutter in the breeze. Before we fly home, 10 tulips nod and stand, thankful for our pollen. Buzzing, flying, working, we do more than you may know. Each of us is a nature's farmer helping food and flowers grow. What did you hear? Asked Farmer Ellen. Bees count, Shin said. Why else are bees important? Mr. Tate asked. They make honey, Natalie said. Yes, said Farmer Ellen, bees drink nectar, a sweet liquid from plants, and they carry it back to their hives. Why? Asked Natalie. Juice inside a bee's stomach changes the nectar into honey, said Farmer Ellen. Bees spit the honey into a honeycomb made from beeswax. Then worker bees dry the new honey by flapping their wings faster than we can blink. Jake and Natalie tried flapping their arms as fast as a bee wings. Amy knelt to watch a bee on a clover blossom. Bees sure are busy. Yes, said Farmer Ellen, and without bee pollen, crops wouldn't grow, and we wouldn't have any food to eat. Eli said, bees are nicer than I thought. Farmer Ellen smiled. It's time to check the hives. Everyone helped slide wooden frames from the bee houses. They found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, let me get both my hands, 10 golden honeycombs. Farmer Ellen said, to get honey from honeycombs, we'll use an extractor. This machine spins honey out, which then flows into the jar. We put a cap on tight and label the jar, and it's all ready to take home. Before the class boarded the bus to leave, Farmer Ellen pulled jars from a crate. Would you like some gifts from the bees? Sweet, said Jake. Thanks for honey bees, shouted Natalie. And for helping plants grow, said Shin. A bee whisked past Amy's ear. She waved at it. Buzz to you too. Well, I hope when you see a bee, you'll remember what hard workers they are, and you'll be kind to them, remembering how important they are to our world. And they won't bother you if you don't bother them. And if you're not sure if it's a nice bee, maybe it's a hornet, just walk away, slowly walk away, don't flap and scream, and you'll be just fine. I hope you'll come visit us at the library. We are open now for people to come in, Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturday, 10 to 2. And we'd love to see you at the library. We're also still doing book bundles, so feel free to call us if you'd like to have one put together that you can just zoom in and pick up either curbside or at our circulation desk. All right, thanks for joining me for Storytime. Forgot one more thing. I have a craft. Let's go back to the library and I'll show you our bee craft. Guys, I'm back at the office at the library and I've got the honeycomb craft I was telling you about. Here's what it'll look like when it's done. And do you remember these shapes when we looked in the pictures of the different honeycombs? This is called a hexagon. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Now, this is a little different than a real honeycomb, but I think it'll be fun to make. So what you're going to do is you can call the library and ask for the craft for this Friday, the 23rd of April Storytime about bees. And you'll get a little kit that'll have a piece of paper like this. And it'll have a piece like this. It's white without that cut out. That's how I made this. And what you're going to do is everyone will get a piece of bubble wrap. And then there's some yellow paint that'll come as you see in that picture. And you're just going to gently paint it. And then before it dries, lay it flat on a table and gently press it. If you press it too hard, it gets kind of like this. So press it gently. Then you're going to cut those out, glue them on your black paper, cut out your little bee, glue them on. And I would love it if you would tell somebody about what this shape is called. Remember, it's called a hexagon, 6-sided. So just give us a call and you can come by and pick up the craft kit, or we can have it available for curbside pickup. All right, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.